It's our favorite time of the week, Faith Friday, and today we are joined by a clinical psychologist and ordained minister who is making it her mission to help others not only survive, I love this, but thrive in the wake of trauma.
In her latest book, Homecoming, Overcome Fear and Trauma to Reclaim Your Whole Authentic Self, is set to hit shows next week, and here she is in studio, Dr. Thema Bryant. Good to have you here with us. How do we end up being a psychologist and an ordained minister? What was that journey like? How'd that happen?
Journey is so important. I'm the daughter of a pastor, and in our community, people often call their pastor before they call a therapist. So in the book, I say working a crisis hotline for the first time was growing up in my house because people just call for support. And so then when I discovered psychology as a field in and of itself, I said, that's what I'm called to do.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I love that. And this book is personal for you because you are a thriver, post-trauma yourself. And I know you share some of your story in this, but you also talk about how some of the ways you overcame it and lived beyond it was through dance.
That's right. It's so important to know when we talk about homecoming, this healing journey, that it's not just something I read about, it's not just something I studied, but it's also something that I've lived in terms of my personal process. I'm a sexual assault survivor, and also my family, even though we're African American, we lived in Liberia, West Africa for high school, which was a phenomenal experience until there was a civil war. And so we were evacuated as a result of the war. I grew up primarily in Baltimore, which, while it is a beautiful place, also is a place with community violence, and then the traumas of racism and sexism. And so when I do this work, it's not just intellectual, but from the heart, knowing that it's possible to reclaim yourself, to restore yourself. And homecoming is about reconnecting to the lost parts of who you are. Stress and trauma disconnect us, and you can wander around going through the motions. And so to say, I want to be restored is to come home.
And to not live in that victimhood.
And to know it doesn't define you, right? So I say trauma affects you, but it doesn't define you. There is more to you than that.
How do you get back to yourself? I know it's in the book there, but just give a kind of a general idea, because you talked about two places, two physical geographic places, West Africa, Baltimore. You could think that's a homecoming, going back to a place. But how do you get back to yourself?
I love that because there are multiple pathways, which goes to our question about psychology and faith and not having to choose. And so utilizing therapy is an important piece. Our spiritual practices are an important piece. And for me, an important part was dancing, reclaiming our bodies. In psychology, they have something called somatic therapy, and soma means the body. In the Black church culture, we would talk about praise dance or shouting. And so when you dance, it reconnects you to God, to your culture, to your community, and most of all to yourself. Because with violation, there are often things you don't want to speak about or that you don't have the words for. And it is something very sacred, something very beautiful to be able to say this same body that was erased or that was violated, that now I use from a place of strength and from a place of beauty and a place of testimony.
Wow, that is so powerful. And you really are one-stop shopping. I mean, you are a psychologist, minister, and dance instructor. I mean, it's just like the heart, the mind, the body, everything. That's incredible. We always ask our Faith Friday guests to leave us with some words of wisdom. Not that you haven't already done that, but we want to give you the floor and help us head into the weekend with inspiration.
Yes, I would say to each of us, may we know that our being is more important than our doing. That busyness is not required of you, but for you to manifest the fullness of who you are. It is my hope that we would learn to reclaim delight in our laughter, to be able to reclaim the beauty of our own breath in our bodies, and to know that each of us is worthy of homecoming.
And let the GMA3 Church say,
Amen!
All right, folks, I want you to know the book, Homecoming, Overcome Fear and Trauma to Reclaim Your Whole Authentic Self. It's on bookstore shelves everywhere on March 15th. Dr. Bryant, it is so good to have you here. Thank you so much for being in studio with us.
Thank you so much. You really did just start the weekend off right. Thank you.
Appreciate it.